Welcome to the first episode of House Divided Sports Podcast. My name is Rodrigo Nahara,
I'm Jose Acuna.
and basically, we're going to just say a little about ourselves because it's the first episode. I was born in Mexico but moved to Austin when I was 7, and currently go to Texas A&M. I'm a senior, graduating in the spring, and I support obviously the Aggies. I was a former Longhorn, but I've been transformed in the Colt, and then I support the Dallas Cowboys. Tough to watch.
Yeah, I'm Jose. I was also born in Mexico. I moved to Austin as well. And I actually did not grow up a Longhorn. I grew up a Michigan Wolverine, but I'm currently attending the University of Texas and I'm now a Longhorn. So, for the NFL, I'm a big Pittsburgh Steelers guy.
Yeah. So basically, how it's gonna work, we're gonna put out 1 or 2 videos every day for y'all. We're just 2 college kids that like to talk sports and like to argue with each other, and that's what we're doing on here. It's not nothing serious, and we're not acting like we're know everything. We're just expressing our opinion and having a little fun doing that. Okay. So the first topic in this week's college football talk is what happened down there in Austin, man. I know you were at the game.
I know. It was horrible. Turnovers, man. Turnovers and giving the ball to Georgia inside the 40. They scored 23 points off of that, and our offense couldn't keep up with that. That's what happened.
Yeah. What do you think when Arch came in the game? Were you like, oh, we need
I
it?
thought that was going to turn our offense around. I thought it was. I thought maybe Quinn was still hurt, and that's what was happening because he started slow a week earlier too. Arch did not turn things around, and we went back to Quinn and got something going, 1 or 2 drives, but nothing really sustainable to get us back to. Because our defense was stopping them, but we just couldn't get anything real going.
Carson Beck took 3 picks, right?
Carson Beck threw 3 picks,
Yeah,
3 interceptions, and we could not reel it back. Yeah. If you combine Arch's and Quinn's stat lines, they had a world-class game compared to Carson Beck.
Yeah, the offensive. I mean, y'all's defense played good. The offense struggled a bit for both teams, honestly.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I'll be honest. I think y'all's 15 points was also kind of lucky. The first Georgia got a little confident and then an onside kick, so you guys got a short field.
Yeah. And then the other one was off another interception.
But it was that controversial interception that
not controversial. It's not controversial at all.
Hey, if you want to reverse the call, by all means. The fact that y'all threw bottles, and I know you probably did too.
They would have reviewed it anyway. They had to. It was a crazy call.
But the fact that y'all threw bottles is the most embarrassing thing that's happened in college football in a while. It wasn't like 2 bottles; it was 100-something bottles.
Did you see Vandy put up a net to prevent us from throwing bottles at their field next week?
Good. Speaking of Vandy, let's move on to this second topic. Someone that Vandy upsetted Bama. What's going on with Bama? Is there a problem with coaching or players?
No.
Or what's going on?
It's a new year. It's a new system. Give Kalen DeBoer some time. He's going to be just fine in Alabama. This is just we were all talking about Bama being a 3-loss team this year before the season started. After the win against Georgia, expectations maybe changed a little, but we've come back down to earth to what the preseason expectations for Alabama were.
I agree. I feel like that loss even though Tennessee has not been looking the best, it's still an understandable loss. Tough place to play. That stadium pulse in NCAA is different in Rocky Top. But that Vandy loss obviously doesn't look the worst now, but still concerning. And squeaking it past South Carolina was concerning. Obviously, that Georgia win was amazing, but I picked Bama going into that game. But we'll see how they do down the line. They still have a couple of tough games. They have Mizzou coming in, but
I think they beat Mizzou. I do think they go to Death Valley and lose, though.
Yeah, I think that's the 3rd loss. I don't remember most of their schedule, but I mean they play at Oklahoma, but Oklahoma's a joke. But
yeah, Bama's gonna win that game.
Yeah, I think they end with 3 losses, which besides the Vandy loss, it's understandable, but not a bad first season. New head coach, a lot of transfers in and out. getting
Just
used.
about establishing his culture there, and you're replacing the GOAT. It's always going to be hard. Kalen DeBoer's a great coach. Just give it time in Bama. This was never the year.
Yeah, and they still got that Ryan Williams guy for years to come unless he
Oh,
decides the transfer, but I think he'll stay. Next, my favorite story so far, Indiana.
This.
Do you
I
buy
know
it,
this.
or do you think it's all like a show, or it's a facade?
I'm buying the hype, and not only am I buying the hype, they have a real chance of beating Ohio State. That's their only hard game this year.
Stop.
One-loss team is their worst, and I think they could beat them.
I think I don't know the schedule at the top of my head. I know they're going to lose to Ohio State, but I think there's a trip-up game there before that. I think they'll end with 2 losses, which, considering coming into no one had any expectations for them, is really good.
Well, I mean, we all thought Nebraska would be that trip-up game. That was not a trip-up game. That was a statement game.
No, it was. I was watching that, and I didn't know what's going on. I still think Nebraska's a good team. Just Indiana made them look like a peewee football team. Yeah, and especially when O'Rourke went down, it was like, all right, maybe Nebraska can make a push, but that never happened.
Yeah. And I was seeing an analysis pregame about how this was going to be Raiola's week, and it just was not.
Yeah.
Indiana had him down.
Just like Patrick Mahomes, he's struggling, man.
He saw Mahomes wasn't doing it. He was like, I got to follow suit. I'm going to suck too.
What do you think about that? What do you think about this guy basically being not only looks like him, but basically trying
He is him. He is Mahomes.
He's like his little brother, but they're not really related.
Hey, I mean, if it works.
It doesn't. I'll tell you, it hasn't worked.
It worked against Colorado, and it hasn't since.
It was because of that defense mostly. He had a good game, but it wasn't anything crazy.
Yeah.
Speaking of Colorado, prime time went in and thumped Arizona. Travis Hunter was basically non-existent, but they still thumped them. What do you think of Colorado this year?
They're good. They're going to go and beat Cincinnati this week. I can, even if Hunter doesn't play or whoever doesn't, they're the better team. They're going to win. Other than that, later this year, I don't know about their schedule. They could take a loss, couple losses really towards the end when they start playing some better teams. But yeah, I think they'll be just fine this year. They're not a playoff team, in my opinion. They're not. They might be the 3rd best team in the Big 12. Really, is where I have them competing, in my opinion.
Yeah, I have them around 3 or 4 as well. Just Iowa State, Kansas State, and maybe I don't
BYU.
Know.
I like them more.
BYU yet, but right now I would say BYU. But yeah, I mean, impressive win nonetheless. I thought Colorado was going to win. They were underdogs going into that game. I bet it, won a little money. But honestly, the way they did it was impressive and really stopping that air threat of an offense of Arizona with McMillan and Fafita, which I'm a little disappointed by them coming into the season. I didn't think they would like
that first game. I told McMillan had us all thinking Heisman for him.
Yeah, I thought they were really gonna make a push for the Big 12, and it just has not looked like that.
No, it has not. I mean, the big headline going into that game was McMillan versus Hunter, and it just wasn't there.
Yeah, Hunter wasn't there, and then McMillan just wasn't there either. So
yeah, I can explain why Hunter wasn't there, but McMillan, what happened?
Yeah. Yep. All right. Big game for my team this weekend.
Go Tigers!
The top of the SEC, LSU, and what you think of that going into it?
I got the Bengals. I got the Bayou Bengals winning. Yeah, I know. I see your face. Just hear me out. They're the better team. They're going to win. That's it. That's all there really is to it.
I don't think they're the better team. I think we are similar rated teams. I just think our home field is going to put us over the edge. I think the 6:30 primetime game, blackout. I don't know if you know, it's a blackout.
I do know.
Everyone in the stands is
a
blackout.
Garrett Nussmeier interview saying, "Don't compare Kyle Field to Death Valley. That it's nothing compared to each other, and that Kyle Field is loud, but it's not Death Valley, and he plays
think
Death
Penn
Valley."
State whiteout something? Watch the Kyle Field blackout. You know what Brady Cook said? It's louder in practice. And you know what they did? They lost by 40.
Great. Garrett Nussmeier is worlds ahead than Brady Cook.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
But still, everyone thought, not everyone, but a lot of people thought Missouri might win or even keep it close. But that game,
it's just as simple as this. LSU's got the better quarterback. LSU's got the better receivers. LSU's got the better linebackers. LSU's got the better DBs. I'll give you D-line. I think I really like that A&M defensive line.
Nick's scoring, baby.
Yeah, he's a great player.
That's going to be an interesting matchup to see Nick scoring and those supposedly top 15 draft pick tackles for LSU.
Yeah, they're both going to be top 20 picks.
Yeah.
Campbell is amazing. Emory Jones is just an incredible talent that I want to see playing for some elite team in the NFL next year. And we'll see that's the matchup I want to see, those two tackles against that defensive line. The trenches will really decide that game. And I think I like LSU's offensive line and what else they have protecting it, or what they're protecting over that A&M defense. And I think that's what makes the difference for LSU.
Yeah, I think also LSU's defense has improved from that first week against USC. But I think our offense has improved too from that first week against Notre Dame. Obviously, our competition hasn't been the best, but we looked good against Mississippi State. That running game's really looking good. That Florida win with our backup quarterback, that was good. It's not looking that bad when Florida goes into Tennessee and almost pulls up an upset. So that Florida win, I think, is very valuable. I think LSU should have lost to Ole Miss. I think it was poor clock management by Lane Kiffin at the end. But LSU is a good team. It'll be a good game. I think home field will make the difference. I think our D-line would make the difference. And I think Connor is going to make a couple of big
Connor is not going to make a difference.
Connor
might make the difference negatively.
No.
Yes.
Agree to disagree here, but
no.
We'll see.
Difference.
I unfortunately will not be at the game. It's probably the biggest game I've ever missed. I fortunately have my sister's wedding to go to, so I want to. And I guess I don't know. Did you get an invite for that? Or
I did. I'm actually going to be there, and what I'll be doing all night is I'm going to be watching Garrett Nussmeier drop at least 3 touchdowns on that A&M defense.
All right. If he does that, or even if he doesn't, LSU somehow wins. I want you to do some shots for me at that wedding.
Oh, well,
and I'll make them.
But you got to do. But when LSU wins, you have to do it then.
Of course I will.
Yeah,
not because of this little bet we have going on, more because
just because you're just an animal.
Because there goes our season. Okay. Now that we got that bet out the way, what would you
bet? Who's your Heisman?
Who's your Heisman rankings right now? Top 5.
Top 5 is easy. Ashton Genty's the top lock for me. When you're doing stuff better than Barry Sanders, you're the Heisman. Mm-hmm. Barry Sanders is debatably, and in my opinion, the greatest running back to ever live. And when you're breaking his records, you're the Heisman. Then my number 2, he's fallen down to number 2. Actually, I think I've always had him at number 2, but it's Travis Hunter. What he's doing, it's not like what we saw with Charles Woodson before I was even born. He's doing something so consistently and so well for both sides of the ball. It's obvious he's number 2. Cam Ward, he's the best quarterback in the country this year. I have him at number 3. I got Dylan Gabriel because he's quarterbacking what is right now the best team in the game. And he had that good game against Ohio State, which could be a Heisman moment for him if he keeps up building this resume that he's been building. And last, I'm going to go with one of my favorite players and Cade Klubnik.
One of my favorite players as well.
He's my hometown hero, and he has been lighting it up since they struggled against Georgia to open it up, and since then they've been one of the best teams in the country. I mean, I'm willing to say that with how well that offense has been moving. He's throwing the ball. He's so comfortable in the pocket, and we can see with his mobility and he's just got that Clemson offense moving, and he's turned their season around. And I'm at to the point where I'm favoring Clemson in the ACC because of how well he's playing.
Yeah, I agree. For my Heisman, they're kind of similar list, but I got Cam Ward at 1.
You got him at 1?
Yeah, I hear what you said about Ashton Genty, and I respect all of it. To me, quarterback's the most important position. And seeing those Miami games, that team is not very good. That defense is atrocious.
No, the last 3 games they're on Cam Ward. Those are the Cam Ward's wins.
He's had multiple Heisman moments, not against necessarily the best competition, but he saved their season. And he's had I don't think he's had less than 300 yards in a game, and that's impressive. And then at 2, I got Ashton Genty. What he's doing,
of course,
almost going to beat, probably barring injuries or terrible performances, beating all of Barry Sanders' records. That's impressive to me. I do knock him a little bit for doing it, not in a Power 4 conference, but
he did it to Oregon. He did it to Oregon.
I know. But I'm saying consistently, like playing them. I knock him a little bit, nothing crazy, but I knock him a little bit. At 3, I have Travis Hunter, 2 sides of the ball. Unreal. Has put up stats a lot of games, but some stats been a little quiet, but he still impacts the game in a crazy way. 4, Cade Klubnik, hometown hero. Led our Chaparrals to a couple state champions. After that Georgia game, that Clemson offense has looked like the best offense in the country, and even though they haven't played the toughest competition, we'll see here down the line when they play some of those tougher teams how he does. But I've just been impressed. Even like I was watching the game this weekend, he threw a bad interception. He came back, threw a 60-yard pass. It's just unreal. His running has improved. His decision-making has improved. And I just really like the leadership out there in Clemson. And then number 5, I'm going with something literally ordinary. I'm going with Curtis Rourke. Hear me out. He should be in the top 10. If he isn't, you just don't watch college football. This guy is the quarterback for the most surprising team so far. You can say BYU is too. And he's leading them, to good wins. He's putting up numbers, and I just really like this guy. I really like this story with Indiana. And even though like I kind of don't necessarily have him in my top 5, I just want to give him some love. I would say Dylan Gabriel is in there too, 5, 6. Those are interchangeable. Like you said, big win against Ohio State. He has been putting up numbers. Throwing it to that traitor, Evan Stewart. I'm glad he didn't go to Austin. That's all I got to say.
We don't need him. Best wide receiver room in the country is in Austin.
You needed him last week.
The issue all night was not the receivers.
It was the quarterback.
Yeah.
But maybe like a guy like Evan Stewart could have made it easier for the quarterback. You never know.
Evan Stewart is not better than, I say, Isaiah Bond.
Oh, he's not. But he would be your second best receiver right now.
I mean, Golden had a great game. Golden was open all day.
Yeah, and your quarterbacks were blind or like shitting themselves in the sideline.
Yeah.
Okay. Now let's go into our college football predictions. Let's pull up.
Oh, the playoff.
Your bracket first. Do my bracket first.
Yeah.
Sorry, technical difficulties. All right, here we go.
All right, walk us through this, dude.
This one's yours.
Oh, this one's mine? This one's mine?
Yeah. It pulled up.
Sorry, I thought you said you were doing yours for a second.
No. It pulled up yours.
All right. Easy number 1. I got the Georgia Bulldogs. Really, there's No, they're gonna win because I have them going on winning out the entire year, and I don't care if it's Texas, LSU, A&M, Alabama somehow manages to get to the SEC championship. They're not beating Georgia in Atlanta.
Yeah.
I don't care who it is.
The only game that scares me left on their schedule, it's not even the championship, whoever it may be, like you said, is at Ole Miss. You know, like how tough those environments can be sometimes. But
Yeah.
I think they'll take care of business. But it is.
I think they take. I don't think Ole Miss will give them the atmosphere Austin was, because Austin was the number 1 team heading into it. So I think Georgia's going to handle business every game until at least the playoffs. Number 2, Ohio State. I think they face Oregon in a rematch in the Big Ten championship. And this time, when it's not in Oregon and the game's neutral in Indianapolis, which is closer to Ohio State, I think the Buckeyes pull it out. I think they win. They go number 2. I got Clemson beating Miami in the ACC championship. And I think I have BYU winning out and taking my number 4 spot.
Wow.
Yeah. The Storm and Mormons are going to go all the way.
I'll be honest.
Until they lose.
They'll lose at the bounce house this weekend, I'll be honest. But I respect your hot take here.
Thank you. I'm a big fan of the Storm and Mormons.
Yeah.
5, naturally, I got Oregon. Their only loss is going to have been, in my opinion, a conference championship loss. You can't knock them for that. So I have them having my top spot. After that, I got Penn State. Their only loss, again, in my opinion, is going to be Ohio State. They're going to be followed by the Texas Longhorns, who are going to be the best. They're just going to be rolling. They're going to have just beat they're just going to beat A&M by like 30 in Kyle Field after Quinn Ewers cements his 4 touchdown passes. Isaiah Bond cements his status in the first round of the draft. Yeah. Trey Moore, 2 sacks.
Closer. We'll
Barron, another 2 picks. So I got Texas at 7. I have him at 7 because I have him losing the SEC championship to Georgia, which is why I have Penn State over them. Behind them, I have Miami, who I have losing the ACC championship. I think they're a really good team. Cam Ward, mostly because of him, because he's been the best player by far. He's definitely a contender to be a number 1 pick in the draft and the Heisman. So I have Miami at 8. They're followed by LSU, the team that will stomp the Aggies this Saturday. And number 10, I got the Fighting Irish, a team I don't think will deserve to be in the playoff, but they have the big brand and the easy schedule to make it. So I got Notre Dame at number 10, and they'll be losing that week to my Longhorns, actually. Number 11, I have the team that we talked about earlier, the Tennessee Volunteers, after they knocked out Alabama. Their schedule is easy enough, and I don't think they have to make the SEC championship, so they don't take that extra loss. I think they're fine there at 11. And then I got my Heisman, Ashton Jeanty, making it all the way, taking the conference championship. We're taking Boise State to the playoff, and they get a rematch against Oregon. Now, after that, I think LSU is going to beat Miami, and they're going to face off against Georgia. I think Oregon does win that rematch again, unfortunately, and they take on BYU. I got Penn State finally wins a big game when they beat Tennessee, who I think, while they have looked really good, they can be underwhelming in the big games, which is something, Penn State has done historically. I just feel like they're better enough this year to win. And then, like I said before, I got Texas beating Notre Dame because I just don't think Notre Dame's the most worthy team. So second round, I'd have LSU, Georgia. Like I said, Georgia just takes care of business, and I think they'd beat any team that faced them in the SEC championship, and that included LSU, and I think that stays true for this round, and I got Georgia. Unfortunately, BYU's Cinderella, whatever you want to call it, miracle season falls short with a loss to Oregon in their first playoff game. And these two are the most interesting to me this round of the playoffs. Clemson and Penn State. They were the top 2 quarterbacks of the 2022 class with Klubnik and Aller. They've been fighting for that title since. But I'm gonna go with Clemson off a bye week. Penn State just had the hard game against Tennessee, and they're not the greatest in big games, so I'm gonna take Clemson here. And then Texas, Ohio State.
Don't be biased now.
I'm not gonna be biased. I'm
Huh.
not gonna be biased. Analysis of the team. Quarterback, I like Texas. Running back, I hate to say it because our running back room is amazing, but Ohio State, I think they haven't really been as amazing as you'd expect, but they have the best one one of the best ones in the country.
The best.
The best one is probably the correct. I'm just giving it to Ashton Jeanty as the best one, but then it's wide receivers is the one. Carnell Tate, Emeka Egbuka, and Jeremiah Smith, or
Jeremiah Smith, dude. That
Isaiah
guy.
Bond, Bolden, Jonte Cook.
I'd rather have Jeremiah
Ryan Wingo.
Guys.
All right, don't be surprised in 3 years for the draft when Smith versus Williams versus Wingo is the debate of who's the top receiver. Wingo will be in that debate.
I think Wingo will be there, but I think it'll be Jeremiah Smith and Williams, and then a gap, and then Wingo. It'll be like the back. It'll be a little behind, which is not bad because those guys are generational.
Those guys are generational. Justin Jefferson was that guy.
Behind. Yeah.
Justin Jefferson was that little behind guy.
Yeah.
O-line, I think Texas hasn't beat there. D-line, I like Ohio State's. I'm not gonna lie. I like Ohio State there. Linebacker, Texas, loved. And then defensive back, what are you going to do when the other side is Caleb Downs, right?
Yeah, nothing.
So Ohio State. So I'd say it's really split. Matchups.
Be biased.
I'm going to go Texas. Texas wins here. And then Texas, against an easier opponent, they beat Clemson, and they're going to the national championship to face Georgia, who I have beating Oregon, in a rematch for the third time, and I think, unfortunately, we fall short a third time.
Yeah, I think y'all that only chance to beat Georgia was that in Austin.
I think if we couldn't beat them in Austin, this is not our year.
Yeah.
Unless somebody manages to beat them for us.
Yeah, I agree. All right, we'll go to mine. Very good. Mine's a little similar in some ways, but I have some differences. I think Ohio State will be the number 1 seed.
No, wait. I gotta interrupt you already.
What?
Texas A&M over Texas? Come
What?
on.
No, watch. You'll hear my explanation. Let me go in order.
All right.
Let me go in order.
All right.
I think Ohio State will be number 1 because I think they'll win out, as I think Georgia will win out as well, both championships. And I think Ohio State be going into Penn State, who's number 3 right now. That would be kind of the same win as Georgia going into Texas. And then I think Oregon's going to win out till the Big Ten championship, and then they'll probably be number 1 then. And Ohio State being the number 1 team, I would put them slightly over Georgia. I would have Georgia at 2 because I think, like you said, whoever they play in the SEC championship, they'll beat. I mean, they should handle. Maybe Texas is the only one that could put up a better fight, but I think everyone else they'll handle. Clemson number 3. I think they've just looked really good since that Georgia loss, and I just have them winning out the ACC. It's not that strong this year. And then I have Kansas State. I just like what I see from the boys from Avery Johnson.
Yeah,
I think they'll win out. They have one tough game at Iowa State, but even if they lose that, they should still make the championship. And I think they'll beat whoever they face there, either Iowa State or BYU. BYU is losing this weekend to.
They're not.
I'm telling you. Okay. All right. And then at 5, I have Oregon. Their only loss coming to Ohio State, which is an understandable loss.
Mm-hmm.
Don't knock them too much. At 6, I have Notre Dame because I think they'll win out. And I have to put them above A&M because they came in. Yeah. So if A&M makes the playoffs, as long as Notre Dame doesn't fall apart, Notre Dame will be in the playoffs. What's I going to say? Notre Dame does have a tough game the last week, which I wouldn't be shocked if they lose at USC. USC can be on and off, but if they turn it on, I think they can pull that upset.
Yeah.
At 7, I got A&M with the only remaining loss coming in the SEC championship to Georgia. I think this weekend, if we win, that Texas game is just going to be on steroids, and there's no way Texas can come in here and lose. I don't think there's a way Texas could come in here and win with the rowdy 12th man and me in the stands and you crying next to me watching your Longhorns.
There's not a position on the field in which Texas A&M is better than Texas, and we have
12 people on the field. You have 11. We win. Our 12th man. Number 8, I have Penn State with their only loss coming to Ohio State. And then at 9, I have Texas with their only remaining loss coming to us. And I think they'll sneak in. Not sneak in, they deserve to be in, but get in there at 9 spot. Then I'll have Miami losing to Clemson in the championship. 1 loss. They're a good team, even though they haven't played the best competition. They're a good team. Cam Ward, like you said, animal. Probably going to, for me, the Heisman, unless Genty goes even crazier than he is going now. 11, Tennessee with their only remaining loss coming in Georgia, at Georgia, with 2 losses. With some of the wins they have, I think they should get in. And then 12, I was going to go Boise State, but they have to play UNLV, and then they might play UNLV again in the championship. I think they'll drop one of those to them.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go with Liberty. I just think they'll win out, and they'll be undefeated, and that'll be the non-conference champion that gets in. And then I'll have A&M being Miami, even though that pass attack scares me. I think our D-line will get the Cam Ward a lot and will win. I'll have Tennessee upsetting Notre Dame. I just don't think Notre Dame's good. I think our loss to them was bad, and we just played really bad. And I think Tennessee will upset them, even though they're playing at Notre Dame. But I think Tennessee could beat them. And then I got Oregon just manhandling Liberty. I got if this was neutral site, I would have Texas, but right now I'm a little conflicted. I'll go Texas for now. Depends what time the game is, but I think Texas is the better team. But if it's a whiteout game, if they do 2 in 1 year, you guys are screwed. Then Texas A&M Georgia rematch of the SEC championship. Georgia will thump us. We're just levels behind them, to be honest. I'm putting my bias aside. Georgia's just too good. Clemson, Tennessee. I got Clemson. I think Tennessee will struggle offensively that game, and Cade Klubnik will do enough to put that team over. Kansas State, Oregon. I think Oregon handles them. Not easily, but somewhat easily, and moves on. And then Ohio State, Texas. I actually do have Ohio State this one. I think it'll be a close game, but I got Ohio State. I like the receivers a lot. And even though Ryan Day cannot win a big game,
born on third base.
I still think they'll get it done. And then Ohio State, Oregon. I think Ohio State beats them because if that game was in a neutral field and Will Howard didn't do a stupid slide, they would win that game. And Dan Lanning didn't do – I don't know if it's accidental. I don't think it was. His little 12-man cheat code. It was smart if he did it on purpose, but I think
he said after the game they practiced it.
Oh, I did not know that, but yeah. That was smart. But 1 point game.
They changed the rules. That's no longer allowed.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Or I think they made it so that the clock stops. It used to be a penalty where the clock would keep going, but they made it so the clock stops right after, a day out or a couple, the week after the game, it changed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I have Ohio State making an international championship, playing against Georgia. We saw Clemson, Georgia earlier in the year. That was not close. And then Ohio State, Georgia, they've had some great games in the playoffs in the past. And honestly, I think Ohio State gets it done this year. I don't want to pick Georgia.
Wow.
It's kind of boring. I hate Team Georgia. I don't like Georgia. I don't like Ohio State either, but I like some of their players. I think Jeremiah Smith is something special, and I think they'll get it done. So, yeah, those are my college football predictions. Obviously, it'll change week to week. We won't do this every week, but once it gets closer, we'll do our final predictions. All right. Now, what is your predicted headline for the games this weekend?
My for this week are perfect Pittsburgh, no more. I got the orange going in and making Pittsburgh bleed. It's over for the Panthers are done. They're no longer undefeated after Saturday is my guess. And then my favorite headline of the week, LSU sits atop the SEC. Sunday morning, LSU, SEC, number 1.
All right. You'll see. You'll get really drunk Saturday night after you take those shots.
Not happening.
Okay.
I'll be sober Saturday.
My headlines are A&M sits alone top the SEC. Only undefeated team left. Handling business in Kyle Field. And just controlling our own destiny from here on out. After LSU, our only tough game. I'm a little scared about South Carolina on the road. Tough night game. But I think we're the better team, but I think the atmosphere will make it closer than it is. And then I'm a little scared of Texas, but it being
a little.
It being in Kyle Field, our fans been waiting years for this. Like,
you're putting too much faith on Kyle Field.
No, I'm not. I've been there. I've been part of the 12th man. We beat number 1 Alabama freshman.
I've been there. I've been part of the 12th man. It ain't that deep.
You went against an FCS opponent at 11 a.m.
Still, it's not going to make that much of a difference.
You'll be in the student section and be like, what did we get ourselves into? You'll see. And then you'll
be thinking that when we're up 14.
No, because we were already here. You came and followed us. All right. So now we have my second headline. Party in Nashville again.
No.
It's not what you think. I think Texas is gonna come in and absolutely whoop Vandy. And since we saw last time there was more Bama fans than Vandy fans, I think it'll be more the same. So I think after Texas bounces back and whoops Vandy, they're gonna party in the streets of Nashville.
Good. Yes. We turned Tennessee into Texas.
Yeah. All right. What are your best bets for this weekend?
My best bet for this weekend is you and I's favorite team, the Indiana Hoosiers.
Yeah.
Not only do I think they cover the 6.5, I think that if the spread moved to 13.5, I think they still cover. This team, I love them. Rourke is going to come back, and they're going to do great. That's my best bet of the week.
But right now, Rourke is announced out. Would you still recommend it?
This team is built to win without Rourke.
Okay.
I think they're a team that isn't built on star play. They're a team that's built to win. They can do the next man up mentality and win. I recommend this with or without Rourke.
Okay. I have 4 best bets this weekend.
Decide.
I love the board this weekend. I like Ole Miss minus 20.5. If it gets over 21, 22, maybe not play it. But Oklahoma under Brent Venables as an underdog is 5-11 against the spread. It's more of a play against Oklahoma. I also think Ole Miss coming off a bye, a tough loss at home, they'll take care of business. And I just don't like this Oklahoma team. Ole Miss is also 5-2 against the spread and 3-1 at home. So I think they'll put up a lot of points, go up early like South Carolina did on Oklahoma, maybe like 28-0, and then keep it around the 28-point mark the whole game. The second bet I like is your Longhorns minus 19. If it gets to the 21-point range, I would advise caution, but I would play it up to 21. Since 2019, after the number 1 team in the country loses, they're 4-1 against the spread in their next game. I think Sark's going to have his boys ready. They're not going to take Vandy lightly anymore. I think they'll take care of business, come in and thump them, and just party in Nashville, to be honest.
Party in Nashville.
Like Diego Pavia, but this Texas defense is way better than that Bama defense that struggled these last couple of weeks. I think the point total Georgia accumulated, it was not because of that Texas defense. It was more because of the offense giving the ball.
I said, we started 23 points came from them getting the ball inside the 40.
Yeah. And then also Texas is 5-2 against the spread, and 8-3 in their last 11 against the spread. So Sark is just a covering machine. And Sark, after facing a top 10 team, he's 10-7 in the game after. So I just like the spot for Texas here, a good bounce back spot. This next one, it's a little bit of bias, but I truly believe A&M -2.5. The home team in this rivalry has won the last 20-something-ish meetings, and I don't mind laying a field goal here with Aggies. So that's a good bet for me. And then my last bet is Kansas State -10. Kansas State has been 11-4 against the spread against Kansas in the last 15 meetings. They've been favored by double digits 17 times since they started playing Kansas, and they're 15-2 against the spread in those games. And Kansas State is 2-1 against the spread at home. I just think Kansas is not good this year, and Kansas State is really good. And all these historical data, Kansas State usually thumps Kansas, and I think it'll be more of the same this year.
Yeah, those are 3 great bets. Three.
Oh, you mean the Texas one, Zippy? Oh, sorry.
No. I just mean Nussmeier will be, king of College Station come Sunday morning.
Nope. Oh, he probably won't be there. He probably wants to go back to Baton Rouge.
After such a victory, I don't think you can. After you beat A&M by triple digits, you got to stay there the night.
All right, you better watch out for Diego Pavia this weekend. All right.
Well, Diego Pavia isn't on scholarship. In a couple of years, we're going to be talking about Garrett Nussmeier, top 10 pick or not. Is he going to go 12 or is he going to go 8?
No, you just better watch out for him. I mean, that's probably what Bama thought too, and then they tore the field down. But thank you for watching the first episode. Episode 2 coming next week. We'll recap if A&M or LSU loses and all the big headlines for this weekend. Thank you.
Go Bengals.